Welcome everybody to Full-Time Filmmaker. My name is Parker Walbeck and I will be your guide and personal mentor through this entire program. I've spent the last 3 years working with Team Supertramp, traveling to over 15 different countries, filming and editing video content for big name companies like Ford, Mountain Dew, Ubisoft, Champion, Timex, and many more. And I've been a big part of helping generate hundreds of millions of views along the way. More recently, I've branched off, started my own production company, and have created this program to help filmmakers of all levels not only master their filmmaking skills, but help them convert those skills into money. Now, before I dive into the training material, I want to answer the frequently asked question, how did I get started? By sharing with you my story of what it took to turn my love of filmmaking into a full-time job. Looking back on my journey, I've been able to pinpoint a few crucial steps that I've taken that have helped me succeed in an oversaturated market and stand out from the crowd. I call them my 6 steps to success. Step number 1 is clarity. In the words of Steve Jobs,
your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do.
This can often be the hardest step, is just figuring out what am I supposed to do with my life? What am I good at? What do I enjoy? What are my talents? And like many of you, I discovered a love and a passion for filmmaking from a very young age. In high school, I was always making ridiculous music videos with my friends just for the fun of it. And so I seriously considered going into film school, that is, until my friends and family discouraged me from pursuing it as a real career, telling me that I'd never be able to support a family making videos. So I took their advice and started out college without an ounce of clarity or idea of what I was going to do with my life. And while I was attending college trying to figure out what I enjoyed doing, I spent one of my summers doing door-to-door sales selling DirecTV. And though I was making pretty good money, I absolutely hated my job. I dreaded going to work every day. And then one day, I was once again awakened by the words of Steve Jobs.
For the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something.
That hit me pretty hard because I'd been waking up every morning dreading every single day to get out and work. And hearing those words was enough to motivate me to change something. So I decided in that very moment that I was never going to do for a career or for a job something that I hated doing just because it paid well. I realized that if I was going to be truly satisfied and fulfilled in my life, I needed to gain some clarity and figure out what I truly loved doing. So I quit my sales job and began the search for something that I was truly passionate about. That's when I stumbled across a video on YouTube by a guy named Devin Supertramp. It was his nature video that he had shot on the island of Kauai, and I instantly fell in love with the camera movements and the music and the editing and just the overall feeling that I got from watching it. It was so inspiring to me, and I thought to myself, this is what I want to do. This is it. I would love doing that. And here's a guy who's making a living doing it. And what's more, he blogs about everything he does, all the equipment that he uses, all the settings he uses in camera. This is my ticket into a career doing something that I love. So I took a leap of faith and I spent my entire life savings and went several $1,000s into debt to buy all the exact same camera gear that Devin had. And even though I'd never owned a camera before in my life and didn't know how to use camera equipment, I was determined to become a professional overnight. Which brings me to my second step, which is confidence. Or as I like to phrase it, fake it till you make it. If this course does nothing else for you, I hope it at least gives you the confidence to know that if I can make this into my career with zero education or knowledge on this subject, then you can do it too. People will always ask me which university I attended for film school, and I just tell them, I just watch YouTube tutorials. I had to rely on lengthy, uninformative YouTube videos to teach myself how to become a professional filmmaker. And this is one of the main reasons I've created Full-Time Filmmaker, is to give you the program that I wish would have existed when I first started, that would have saved me months and years of learning from my own mistakes. But I didn't have Full-Time Filmmaker, so I spent that entire summer, 12 hours a day, watching frustrating YouTube videos, and then going out and practicing, and then learning through trial and error. And after about 3 months of that process, I went back to school down at Southern Utah University for fall semester, and this is where I had my first opportunity to fake it till I made it. The opening school event was this fun paint dance activity, and me and all of my friends decided we'd go and check it out. While dancing and having a good time, I noticed that nobody was on stage filming the event. And I saw it as a great opportunity early on in the school year to pose myself as the professional filmmaker on campus. So I ran to my car, grabbed all my camera gear, brought it back, jumped up onto the stage with the DJ, and acted like I'd been commissioned by the school as the guy to film the event. And the longer I filmed, the more confident I got. So I started directing people, telling them what to do, and started getting really into making this film. And everybody there thought I was the professional in charge of making the video, and so they all went along with it and didn't think twice about me being up on stage all night. And that was a night I learned a valuable lesson about the importance of confidence. Because after the dance, I pulled an all-nighter editing the video, posted it the next morning to social media, and the entire school was sharing it the next day, loving the content I had created, including the administration, who called me in and asked me if I'd be willing to film every event for the rest of the school year in exchange for a scholarship. And just like that, I became the professional on campus simply by faking it till I made it. A couple months later, an even bigger opportunity to fake it till I made it presented itself. Devin Supertramp, who at this point was my idol, posted on Facebook saying he needed somebody who had arms that looked like this, and he posted a picture saying that his shoot didn't go well and that he needed to redo some shots, but he didn't have the same actor, so he needed an actor who had the same looking arms as this photo. And so I sent him a picture of my arms and said, "How about these?" And he immediately responded back and said, "Perfect. Can you be in Provo tomorrow?" And I'm like starstruck at this point that he's even talking to me, and I'm like, "Yes, of course, I'll be wherever you need me to be." And he said, "Great, but do you know how to fire a gun?" And I had never used a gun in my life, but I said, "Yeah, of course." And then I spent the rest of the night having my buddy who did know how to shoot a gun teaching me how to hold a gun and how to fire it and look good with it. So I had to fake it till I made it again just to even meet Devin. And then I spent the rest of the weekend helping film his video by being his arm model in the Far Cry 3 video of his. And during those 2 days of being his arm model, I made sure to take advantage of that time, and I was picking his brain, asking him, "Well, who's helping you film your behind the scenes, and who's helping you do all your editing?" And he said, "Well, I'm kind of doing it all by myself right now, and I'm actually looking for somebody to help." And my eyes lit up, and I'm like, "Well, give me a call. Here's my work. This is what I'm capable of. I don't have a ton of experience, but I promise you that nobody will work as hard or be as passionate as I will." And I must have said something right, because a week later, he called me up to come shoot a behind the scenes for one of his next videos, and the rest is history. That is how I began my career working with Devin Supertramp. Kind of weird, kind of random, I know. My arms were what got me in the door. I joke about it all the time. But I never would have had that opportunity to meet Devin and to work with him and to begin shooting with him if I hadn't faked it till I made it and had the confidence to put myself in those situations and take those opportunities. So make sure to push yourself outside of your comfort zone and do things that might scare you a little bit. Because when you take those opportunities and you choose to grow, your confidence grows as well. A lot of people will make the mistake of thinking there's someone better out them, someone more capable, more qualified than them, and they won't take those opportunities because they think they're reserved for someone better. Well, here's a newsflash for you. There will always be somebody better out there. So you have to have the confidence to know that you can get to that level by taking those opportunities. Comparing yourself to other people around you is going to kill your confidence. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is the person that you were yesterday. And to all the people out there that are currently better than you, don't think of them as competitors. Think of them as mentors that you can learn from to shorten your learning curve and get to where they are faster. Which leads me to step number 3, which is circle of influence. From this experience of meeting and working with Devin, I learned that it's not what you know, but it's who you know that's most important. One of the main things I credit my success to as a filmmaker is my circle of influence, or the people that I surrounded myself with. One of my favorite business quotes is, "If you want to be a millionaire, hang out with billionaires and you'll get there faster." In other words, my quest to becoming a full-time filmmaker was significantly accelerated by attaching myself to Devin Supertramp. Having Devin Graham as my personal mentor for 3 years cut my learning curve tenfold and allowed me to stand out from the crowd much quicker in an oversaturated market. And that's another reason why I've created Full-Time Filmmaker. I realized that giving people a series of training videos wasn't going to be enough to help them stand out from the crowd. If I'm being completely honest, having Devin Graham as a personal mentor was a huge part of my personal growth and helping me develop as a filmmaker. So that's why, as a part of this program, I'm offering myself as a personal mentor to give you personalized attention and help with all of your individual and unique needs. I will also be holding regular video contests with various prizes to incentivize you to go out and create content. And then I will be taking students' video entries and doing Feedback Fridays, where every week I'll be taking one of the videos and break it down on what was done well and what can be improved upon, thus providing professional advice and helping you know what you can do to improve your skills. So, one of my biggest pieces of advice for entrepreneurs in general, not just filmmakers, is to connect with people who have already mastered the skill that you want to acquire. But when reaching out to connect with those people, make sure to add value first. This means don't try and connect with people just for your own personal benefit. Before asking for value from somebody, offer the value first. The key for me to connecting with Devin was offering my arms and my time and my weekend to bring value to his project before I asked anything in return. Even after I helped him all weekend, my next step was to offer myself as a free editor and behind-the-scenes shooter, and I wasn't asking for any job or any money or anything in return. I just wanted the opportunity to add value. And after months of working for free and showing him how much value I had to bring to his business, he ended up hiring me on full-time and thus returning the value by giving me a full-time job. Now, I wasn't the first person to add value to Devin, but the reason why he hired me on as his first employee over anybody else was because I was the first to bring value consistently, which brings me to step number 4, which is consistency. This step for me took a lot of sacrifice because I wanted to prove myself valuable to Devin, and so every week I made sure to deliver consistent results so he could see how much I was adding to his operation. But this meant I didn't have time anymore to hang out with my friends on the weekend. Sometimes Devin would call me Friday night and say, I need an edit done Monday morning, and so I'd spend the entire weekend working on that project so I could deliver that same consistent result. And doing that month after month after month after year is what stood out to Devin and made him want to keep me around as his full-time employee. So whether you're working for yourself as an employee or for a client, bringing consistent energy and results to every project will help pose you as a professional and keep more work coming in. And one of the greatest byproducts of consistency is momentum. I learned this by watching Devin Supertramp's channel grow from 700,000 subscribers when I first started to over 3 million subscribers by the time I left. And it was greatly due to us releasing consistent content week after week after month after year after year. And I've realized that that's what sets a lot of successful filmmakers apart from others, are the ones who are willing to create consistent content year after year. Because most people quit after a few months once they don't see immediate results. So after a couple years of working with Devin and seeing that growth exponentially grow as we stayed consistent in our work, we began to find ways in which we could work smarter. Which brings me to step number 5, which is create result rituals. Creating result rituals means building a system and performing your highest value activities. Let me explain what I mean by this. As a cinematographer, my ideal day rate is shooting for $1,500 a day. If I shoot for 8 hours long that day, that means I was worth about $200 per hour. As an editor, I charge anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per edit, which comes out to about $20 to $40 an hour. That means I'm worth 5 to 10 times more money when I'm shooting versus when I'm editing. So performing my highest value activity would mean spending as much time as I can shooting as a cinematographer and then hiring somebody else to do my lower value activities like editing. So as Devin's business grew, he could afford to hire me on to perform his lower value activities so he could spend more of his time focusing on higher value activities. And after about a year of working with Devin, I started to outgrow those lower value activities and began shooting and directing my own projects for his channel, which led us to have to hire out more editors so that Devin and I could both be outperforming our highest value activity. We even got to a point where we would go on trips and we'd split up into 2 different teams, one team Devin and one team Parker, so that we could create double the content in one outing. An example of this was last year in New Zealand. We filmed 14 videos in 14 days. And that was made possible because Devin and I split up and were simultaneously filming videos the whole trip. So as the company continued to grow, we continued to hire on more employees, and we're constantly looking for ways to build a system so that we could focus on performing our highest value activities, thus working smarter and creating result rituals. However, I got to a point where I felt like I wasn't growing anymore within Devin's company, which led me to take step number 6, which is continue learning and growing. After almost 3 amazing years of learning and growing with Team Supertramp, I felt like I had hit a ceiling and just couldn't continue growing anymore. And that's going to happen in almost any business that you're working as an employee. And though I was traveling to amazing places and having awesome experiences, I didn't feel fulfilled in my job because I wasn't personally growing and progressing and pushing myself to my fullest potential. And so I felt that the best way for me to continue learning and growing was to branch off and start my own business. And as soon as I'd made that decision to branch off and push myself outside of my comfort zone again, I immediately felt that satisfaction and fulfillment return to my work. And because of all the incredible videos that I was a part of at Devin Supertramp, I was constantly being bombarded with questions of people asking me what equipment I used and how I used it and how do I make my films look cinematic and how do you color correct, and everyone wanted to know how I operated. And so along with running my own production company, I decided to start this course, Full-Time Filmmaker, to start teaching people how they could accomplish the same things that I have. And forcing myself how to learn how to do tutorials on how to teach people has pushed me even farther outside of my comfort zone because I'm used to being behind the camera, not in front of it. And so as I'm speaking right now, I'm learning and growing, and that's fulfilling to me. So that's my story of how I got started and how I ended up here today talking to this camera, creating this content for you right now. I put in over 6 months of work to create what I feel is the most value-packed, concise, to-the-point, effective filmmaking course out there. And as you'll see in the videos ahead, I've organized this course into 5 sections. The equipment, where I tell you what to look for when buying gear so you know how to best spend your money. The technical, where I'll teach you how to use all of your gear and explain all of the terminology. The creative, where I teach you all of my personal secrets to achieving cinematic shots. The editing, where I take you through my entire workflow from beginning to end, from starting a new project all the way to the final export. And then the business, where I teach you how to convert your skills into a profitable business and make a return on your equipment investments. So that's it, guys, for my story and my 6 steps to success. I hope you enjoyed this course, and if you have any questions along the way, please let me know.